Hello?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, sir.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Present.
We have one president.
As you wish, please stand for pledge and invocation. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sir.
Heavenly Father, we ask your presence and your guidance as we do the business of the county this morning. We're thankful for so much, and we owe you all the praise. We ask all this in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Consent agenda is approval of last week's minutes of the regular meeting, certificates of training from all of us for the CCAM, and monthly reports from public administrator and the county clerk.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And I'd second that.
All in favor, aye. As there are no tabled agenda items, aye, Mr. Prince. MoDOT County Road, is Lance here? Didn't see him.
He may not be here till later.
Okay, well, we'll hold this item until give him a chance to the meeting. All right. Next item is opening of bids. I think you had one bid that wasn't marked what it was.
We got a couple, and that needs, of course, our bidders aren't here, but if you send us a bid in a FedEx envelope, and we open it, and you didn't put it in an envelope in there, then we've illegally opened a bid.
Seal bids have to be open public.
And if you don't put on with the bid
Or you gotta
on
open it.
the outside, I don't know if Crescent can do it, but I can't put the envelope up to, and go, this bid is for the, and
Johnny
so.
Carson could do it.
Johnny Carson could do it, Crescent, and that, no, that wasn't Crescent, what was his?
It doesn't
Karnak.
matter.
Karnak, my goodness.
Well,
These bids have been held, the front porch of, what was it,
Alright.
Funky Wagon?
Pumpkin wagon.
Okay.
But there's instructions on what they're supposed to do when they submit the bid, right?
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna open two bids to see what they are publicly, and then apply them to the stack of bids that they should be on.
See,
Okay?
open the FedEx, there is no envelope. So,
And these were opened just now.
yes.
What's the bid
And it
for?
tells that there's, we got three of them, but we don't know for sure because it doesn't say on the outside what the bid's for.
Well, what's in an envelope is just not marked.
The bid notice in today's newspaper clearly states that you are supposed to mark it as what the bid is
Yes.
for.
Yeah.
This is on 50 desktop computers. So when we have that one, that's what that one's for.
All of these bids are due to Mr. Duncan here, so he's the
Right.
problem for the day. He's our problem child for
So
today.
some of these people don't probably normally bid on the county stuff, but this is for what?
Commissioners,
This is for the
you
same-
can possibly reject any of these bids because
But if we don't get any other bids, we may have to.
well, they have to rebid
Yeah,
properly.
yeah.
Tells us everything but what it's bid on. For the least.
And were they mailed in? They
Yes.
weren't hand delivered?
They're
Okay.
FedEx.
No, the ones that were hand delivered, we caught them in.
This is 50. At least the people that are all bidding on the one thing are at least universally bad. So,
Efficient.
all right, go ahead. Is this the bid we're opening for right now?
Okay, I've got three slides for the different bids, so what are we opening now?
We're opening the 50 desktops. Dan, if you want to come up now, are there any of the bidders here? Well, then they don't need to come up and take pictures of bids. All right, do we have any more for that one?
Yeah, there's 9 and 10.
Is there some way we can mark those three bids that they were not properly marked? Here.
Yeah.
Dan, come up and make sure that we've got all the
Yeah,
ones.
now, what's your time problem on your computer?
It usually takes 6 to 8 weeks by the time we approve the
So
bid.
if you went through a rebid, you've got time to do that?
Yeah.
But we don't.
Are we still on the computers?
We're still on 50 computers. We had a bunch.
Good.
Read that one.
What's that?
Can't read that one.
Yeah, what they need, this computer company needs a new copier.
Dan, I do have a packet.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to read all that.
Would you send in more by
Bird dog came over. Signs right there. I said, well, I might have a couple of them. I said, what for? He said, I need them for my house. Couple days I seen him up there by there. You're taking those and putting those to his underpinning for his trade. Blue Cyber.
Really collect these,
State
yeah.
Representative.
They're all on the third.
Did you help him paint them?
They got painted.
Here, they had it down in my desk. I mean, I found it in my desk one time. And somehow somebody else did. Well, no, they went to the third.
Okay, we've got all these, there's no bidders here to take pictures of them. so-
Okay, now, Louis and Calvin especially, let's talk about the technicalities here. We have bidders that have complied to the rules and some that have not. But we know the value of those bids. So if we go to a rebid, how do we protect that information to make sure that all the other bidders don't suddenly know the number that they have to come under? So how do we do that?
You can't protect it, obviously, since it's an open bid, anybody can view these numbers right now.
But it's past the deadline to submit, unless you rebid it.
And it is past the deadline, you're correct. I believe if the information was submitted as, like I read in today's bidding notice, if it was submitted the same way, that those would be essentially not available for consideration.
Not about the bid?
That's my opinion, but
And we've marked those.
What I suggest you do is you take them under advisement, take a look at the bids, get with the auditor to make sure they were properly bid, and then come back to you next week with a recommendation of who to award the bid to.
I'd make that
Or
motion.
re-
Table this till next time we meet.
But keep the
You've got a lot
information
of looking.
confidential?
Yeah, they're the only two that would have it right now.
Okay, let's keep the information confidential on all the details and review this next week on this item. And not say that we will accept these bids because they're the cheapest one. We don't want to do that either, so. Okay, now what are we working on now?
you do not have to accept the lowest bid, let's make that clear.
Yeah, that's true.
You wanna take those and then
Yeah, let's
Now-
get those
now
out.
we're-
Let's do the-
use them for the radios.
I don't know the verbiage on the requirements for a sealed bid, but
It states on there that it has to be sealed and marked for what?
On the
or
outside.
be disqualified. Does it say that?
No, maybe we've got several bids going at the same time.
In all caps, but it has to be sealed and it has to be marked.
What's awkward when we get to this one?
Now, what are you opening now?
The radios, because it's the other table.
But they were properly open, we can say that none of them were submitted illegally, right?
Closing off of.
All these are marked.
Yep.
And how many bids do you have?
It should be the same notice no matter where it went.
For the radios.
What we sent it.
Is anybody here on the radio bids?
Official bid notices, but hey, it's one bid.
Then they're supposed to contact the clerk to get the specifications.
No. They said I went to come in person.
Okay, anybody wanna see these?
You can still contact the clerk to
Then
get the
you
specifications.
wanna take those and give them to them, make sure, I think they're,
Copies will go to
make
the
sure that the
auditor
bid is
and
correct,
county clerk
what you
and
asked
the
for.
department head.
My boss.
What else we got here?
AEDs, I believe.
AEDs.
But the bid information is available to the clerk, is what I'm saying. In person.
But they can't.
These should be spread out among the
They
various
can
buildings.
fax it or. Nope. They said that.
They were just laying on the table.
Yeah, come in and get it.
Then that can be another problem.
Okay.
many bids you have for AEDs?
6.
Six.
6 of them, good.
Didn't realize there's so many vendors.
Sandy, when we set this up for the bids, I told the story of Chris and that.
I don't remember.
This one is your medical seal.
Chris, everybody else heard it, I'll tell you privately on the story.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
We actually got the specs.
Wide.
Wide range.
Yeah, 30 or 40% difference.
The normal sheets, what's on there.
Usually, you know, it's 5% of the Is that the last one?
No, they're just saying the top.
AED is
top half.
automatic electronic defibrillator, in case anybody has questions there.
Glad we got them, and hope you don't mind.
Just proves to you.
You'll never know.
You want to take those then and
Keep telling them.
get with the auditor, make sure they were all.
Okay, bids all over.
Bidding.
Okay, these copies will go to the clerk and to the auditor to make sure they're properly, all the criteria is conformed to, and then they'll be making a decision. We may act on those next week. Okay, the next item is permission to sell an old car lift on Purple Way. It came from the jail garage. So, do I have a motion on it?
I would move to honor the request to make surplus and to sell on Purple Wave, the former automobile lift at the jail.
Second?
Second.
Any questions?
What is Purple Wave?
That is an auction service. We used to do Gov Deals, and Gov Deals was very limited on who got it. Purple Wave is industry and everybody.
Okay.
And it's, they come in, they take the pictures, they make sure the right titles with the right truck. They do a lot of paperwork we were having to do.
No charge to the county.
No charge to the county, and typically, because there's so many more bidders, you get a better price. So that's who Purple Wave is.
Thank you.
Now, let's talk about this, and I'm gonna call Buck on the stand here. That's a new lift, and Buck got this new one with a heavier or higher?
It's higher and wider,
Higher and wider,
and,
heavier,
it's heavier, well, it's not necessarily heavier.
microphone,
No.
and lead off with your name.
You should've just said, Buck, you should've just said, uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Lead off with your name.
Okay, Buck Copeland, fleet manager for the sheriff's department. Okay, to just start out, the parts store we was getting all of our parts from raised the prices on me. So I went shopping around and went to a parts store on Park Hills. Well, they give the government entities, like the sheriff's department or St. Francis County, a discount 15% under wholesale price of all the parts. So anyway, I started buying a lot of parts from them, and they come over and ask me if any shop equipment we might need. I said, well, of course, you know, there's always equipment you need. So anyway, talked to them about this new hoist, and it's under a T&E rewards program, a tech and equipment rewards program, where you buy so many parts a month that they will make the payment for you. It won't cost you nothing.
Payment on this.
Payment on the new hoist.
Yeah.
So that's how we acquired this, which I've been talking to the sheriff for a couple of years. I've been needing a new hoist. Because the one that we had that was on that picture was just 9 foot wide. You couldn't get a pickup truck on it. If you pulled it in there, you had to pull it to one side where you could open the door to get out, and then you had so much weight on one side of the lift, so it was getting dangerous. You could, plus it was 20 years old. It was fatigued and it just needed to be replaced. So anyway, we got this one. It's a 12 feet wide. It can lift the car 12 feet high, which we never need to go that high.
That's 12 feet?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
And you can get any car in it, and then the other ones, we couldn't lift like the pickup trucks that Dan Moore's got, or the courthouse maintenance, I couldn't get them on the old lift either. So this is a lot better, lift than we had, a lot heavier, and, anyway, if we spend $1,200 a month at the parts house, they make our payment for us. And that, not only the sheriff's department, that piggybacks with the road and bridge too, so.
But you're getting the best price there, so still the best price.
Yeah,
place to
only
buy.
thing that's really gonna cost us is the first month, which is $196. We gotta make that one.
Okay.
So we're getting a $5,000 lift for $200.
Okay.
As long as we spend that money a month, which is easy. I don't have no problem with it, really, so.
And it's still the best place to buy your parts, even without this.
Currently.
A lot by a long shot,
Okay.
yeah, so. We done really good on that, so.
Okay. So, any questions?
I'll make a comment, thank you for looking out for the county, that adds up.
Well, I shop around all the time, what they got me hired for, so.
Who mounted this unit?
The company,
They come in and did
yeah,
it?
they put it up and everything.
All right.
I took the old one down, being the guy from Road and Bridge.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
And that's in the road and bridge barn?
No, it's in
No,
the
that's
jail,
at the-
basement
No,
of
it's
the jail.
in the basement of the jail.
Yeah. Road and Bridge got a dandy
Yeah.
set of lifts over there.
Yeah, they got,
Got that. All right. Any other questions? I have a motion second. All in favor of authorizing the sale of the old lift on Purple Wave, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you, Bud. Okay, vending machine contract, MDC vending. We have a contract by next door, wasn't it? Is that next door? Courthouse for the new MDC?
Yeah, well, that's what we're discussing, is where we want to have, there's a bid, but that's what, we've got several different vending, we're gonna have to come up with a policy on vending
Okay,
machines,
yeah, we've got,
along with the auditor, because we've got several places, and there's probably meeting at the sheriff's department and, or the jail, and I don't know about Road and Bridge, if there's a vending machine, but that
and
should
we've got one
be-
downstairs that nobody knows where it came from, so.
Right, so we should be.
We have a
bidding that out as
contract, commissioners, we have a contract with MCD Vending for vending machines at the county jail.
That's the jail, that's what
Yeah.
it is, yeah. Okay.
We also have 2 vending machines in this building and 2 vending machines, I am told, at the courthouse. But we have no contract, no contact person, we have no idea who is feeding the machines, nor who is unfeeding the machines,
Nor who has keys to the
nor who has keys to
facilities.
them, so.
And we have a vending machine out at their place, so
Yes.
countywide, we probably,
We got a contract on that?
Yes, or you should have, just within the last couple weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
So are we saying we need to set up a policy on contracts for vending machines, is that what we're suggesting here?
We need something.
Yeah.
it's tough to justify to an auditor how we decide who's running our vending machines. And it'd
Well,
be interesting to find out who's got keys to this building.
Just secretary. Okay. Carrie?
Well, and we should be getting commission.
Yes.
That's
And
what
I think
it's
these
about.
2 new contracts do include the commission.
The 2 new contracts do include a commission for the jail, and I guess.
And that's this
Well,
MDC company here.
Road and Bridge chose for no commission, because when you get commission, prices go up, and we just left the prices static, so we receive no compensation. And we chose to do that,
So you just kept the price down?
to keep the price down.
The
Yep.
price, okay.
But that's up to each, that's something else, another policy might be addressed, is what should the policy be? Should you keep your prices lower, should you raise them up so that,
Exactly right.
so you get
People say,
commission?
well,
We do
need more
not.
than 10%. Well, if we get more than 10%, well, that's just gonna raise the
Right.
prices and stuff.
We chose not
At
to.
some point, somebody's gonna, that's my point, that's why it's on the agenda. We need some policy that's not different for every building, and, I mean, it would seem.
And I will note that for the past, well, ever since we moved in our new facility back in 2017, we have tried to attain a vendor to come in for the vending machines, couldn't get anyone to do it. About a month ago, this guy shows up and said, hey, I'd be interested in doing this, bring them in, set a contract up, let's do it.
So we did.
Okay. So do I have a recommendation on how to approach this?
Well, I guess a motion to develop a policy that will affect vending in St. Francis County.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to develop a policy on this subject. Any questions, comments?
Who headed that up? Policy
Committee?
HR?
Do what?
Policy committee.
Well, I don't care if it's a committee or whatever, but the auditor's office has to be on it, because they're the ones that have to justify it when we get audited. You know what I mean?
And we had this vendor go through the auditor's office before they ever.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was done,
We did.
but we just have 4 different policies in 4 different buildings. We don't even know who is supplying one here. Nobody can figure out who. That, so it would seem like we would probably need to come up with, why don't we get together between Human Resources and the auditor's office, we'll come up with a policy recommendation for you.
And as far as keys to the building, they don't have access unless we're there, but that's a little different.
That's your building.
Our
So we
building.
don't know. about
We
this
can't
other.
figure out who has it here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Yeah.
That's the way ours is too, they don't have access to it unless we're there.
Okay.
Can we check the security video to see who's supplying it?
Dave?
Courthouse is the same way, they come in during business hours. However, it has been a huge problem in the 12 years that I've been over there, that we never know, when the machine goes down, it's hard to get a hold of anybody. You just can't call them and say, hey, this is down. It may be a month before you see them again, and some of that product in that machine may already be outdated by the time they do come back in. And with multiple machines throughout the county, I think the county would just have a better opportunity to capitalize with one company, but you know, that building's the same way. They don't raise the prices up for the kickback. They just leave it and the employees can benefit.
Kickback?
Well, you know what I'm saying. The money that would come, that 10% that would come back to the county, because we never know when they're gonna come in or when they're gonna be there. They just kind of show up.
I'm not saying there's not a kickback, I'm saying we don't know where that kickback's going.
That's right.
Okay.
Misused a word, let's make that clear.
Okay.
Wrong word, bad word.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion second to address this issue, and did we determine how to do that?
Just to develop a policy that affects the vending in St. Francis County, so.
Made up by the Human Resources in the auditor's office.
All right.
And
I have a
we'll
motion
bring it
second.
back to you within the next few weeks.
And hearing no further comments, all in favor, aye? Aye, thank you. Let's back up to item number 1 on our agenda, and there we go. Lance is here. Come to the microphone, sir, and let's get your input on our road inventory.
My name is Lance DeBrock, and I'm with MoDOT. I have county road inventory pack that I brought today. It contains all of the log for miles, location, surface type for the county roads. And we needed to present this, make sure that everything matches up with what you guys show and have accounted for. If so, then we will need to get it signed off on. We send it back, and that way everything's registered on our end to match yours. And so with that, I can go ahead and show you what I have here and show you guys.
We've gone through a coordinated effort to identify all the county roads in the past couple of years, 3 or 4 years back.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of an ongoing process for a while. And so, this here, this is a CD. This one I have basically everything on it that's in here.
Commissioners, if I may.
Yes.
Clay Copeland's Road and Bridge. This was a process that began several years ago. And we met with, I know, Judy Pritchett, who's our administrative assistant. We had a couple other employees with Road and Bridge and with the 911 center. And we went through the entire county, road by road, and determined if it was a county road or not, what was on our inventory. And it was a long, lengthy process. It took several weeks to complete. We worked on it 1 day a week. And this is the culmination of those efforts of us completing this road inventory. And now that it is completed, I'm sure MoDOT has went through it as well, and they are now in the process of wanting us to approve the work that we had did years ago.
So this will fall to y'all to review and make recommendation, I guess?
We've already looked at it.
We already
How
have.
do the
John said
mileages
one-
comply?
What's that?
How do the total mileages comply?
I think it was like 392, I don't remember the exact
So
total.
we're within a mile
400.
or two of
But
variation.
I just wanted to give a little background on to how this process worked and what all it entailed.
So we're about
Yeah.
0.25% difference in them.
Just a little.
Yeah.
But when you have over 400 miles of roads,
Yeah.
nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I didn't.
Depends on what
No,
part of the road
appreciate
it
it.
is.
Yeah, so this right here is gonna be the roster log of everything. At the end, it's
That's
tallied for,
important to have.
it has the total on there. I just looked, it's real close, it's like 387.
That report I've given you shows that as well.
Okay.
I mean,
It still shows gravel roads on everything.
well, those are probably more.
You got, just a few that are other surface types, but it looks like the majority is gravel.
4.98% paved. Or
Well,
98%
or
paved.
county maintained, yeah, but there's.
Oh, okay, that's everything.
Right.
Okay.
The services are not all correct.
Say it again?
The services are not all correct.
Okay.
That was a carryover from the legacy system, and some of those we lost, so certainly the services, but you get paid the same per mile.
Thank you.
Okay, that
And
makes
your name,
sense.
sir? Your name?
I am Joe Killiam. I also work for MoDOT.
Right.
I'm passing the county road inventory work to Lance
Okay.
to take over, so I've kind of thrown him into the fire.
This is a copy of 5 maps to be used for whatever. One of these is what we would use to have signed off when we take back. So there would be those. Again, this is a CD that has this Excel sheet on it, that file. It has the HPDFs you can print off, more maps. It also has a GIS file that maybe you have somebody
Yeah,
that
we-
uses.
I've been working on this since 2014, maybe even before. I've got an email to Judy from
Yeah, we
2014.
have an acronym, so.
Okay, well, great, I think that's it then. So,
Now, does Road Bridge have the same information, or just go to them?
We do.
Is this-
We do. We have the same packet
Okay, is
pretty
this
much.
our copy then?
It can be, we have an email with.
And we have a hard packet too.
Yes.
All right.
So this will be returned?
the only thing I would take back is actually one map signed, everything else is yours.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
Well, I would suggest that it's appropriate right now to either table it to next week or to accept the inventory from the state contingent upon final approval from our road department, because
I know we
don't
went
get me
through
wrong,
it,
I
we've
just,
been with
I
you.
want to make sure that they have a chance to review that and get your final approval, and then we can get it, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
So
so
you
you
either
guys
table it
feel
now
comfortable
till
with it.
next week for their, or you can make the motion to accept their report upon final review of our county. So
And to be clear, this has financial implications for the county. We have to really work to get this accurate.
That's what I'm,
Yeah.
look at before you accept it finally.
Okay, motion?
Motion we accept it pursuant to the acceptance of the road bridge or concurring with the state. That way it'll be done and over with.
Sure.
Since we have.
Okay,
So-
I have a motion second, yes?
So set for a approval by the commission at next Tuesday's meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. You guys review it again, make sure everything's where you want it. Okay, any other questions?
No, you have a motion, Patrick, did you second that, sorry? Okay.
Any other questions? I have a motion, a second, contingent on Road and Bridges approval to approve the inventory. Is this for this year or what? How often do you do this?
Well, Joe really started on it back in 2013.
Yeah, this process started many years ago, but it used to be that every couple of years MoDOT would go out and inventory all the roads. They would actually get in a vehicle and drive it with county staff
I remember that.
with a trip meter.
Yeah.
And now we're utilizing a computerized system. And this does not preclude any changes. If next week you have something happen where you're either building a new subdivision, a new industrial development, something like that where you needed to add some roads, you could add some roads. If you had a court action or legal action that required to get rid of a road, you could get rid of a road as well. And that would, also, all we need is basically from here to here, preferably a map that shows here to here, the points that you're going to give away or change or add, and then the approximate mileage, and then we could send that into Jefferson City, and that would automatically, we would just get that updated.
So that's basically up to this date.
This is
Yes.
snapshot.
It does not have
Right.
Indian Creek, vacation on it, or Evans Lane vacation on it, that's why we just.
And that's
need
why I
to-
said nothing, when you have over 400 miles, it's not gonna be absolutely
That's right.
perfect.
Okay. Motion second, don't hear any other comments. All in favor, aye? Aye, thank you. I got a question for Joe. Do you guys have anything to do with what gets put on GPS as county roads? Where does that come from?
Like the information that like Google Maps or some of those other
Yeah.
companies would have, they pick up our data. When we get this updated and we say that this is updated, it will get sent in and the state, there's an agency that's run out of the University of Missouri in Columbia that publishes this data for all entities that want to use geospatial data. And they will go out and kind of pick up this data, Navtech, TeleAtlas, and some of those other companies that are using this. So there's 3 or 4 companies that basically are the basis that all the other mapping companies use.
Okay.
And they will pick this up.
We have another agenda item later today about a road that is improperly marked as a county road. And Dano's gonna be looking at that. Can you contact with Dano to help him locate the right place to get this straightened out?
Does it show it as a county road or a road within the county, just as it does all the
Well,
other roads?
Dano, we think, reporting to the reports, that they show it as a county road, not a private road.
Well, we could check even our current inventory that we
Right.
brought today. and
It
we
shows
can
a
see
private on
if-
our inventory, I just pulled it up.
Well, if you and Dano could work together, Dan Duncan back here, I'd appreciate that very much.
Sure.
Okay. Because he's taking that on as a project, and you would help him get that done. Okay, thank you, we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
So, we leave.
How can we return this to you? Mail it to you, or? She'll need you to come back next week to pick it up.
If you would mail a copy back, typically we would not leave the packet unless we got a signed copy at the commission meeting.
So this copy, this entire packet does go back to you?
No, typically, what we would like to do is get a copy of the map signed, one copy of the map signed by the presiding commissioner, and then we would leave everything else at that point.
Okay.
I think we can go ahead and leave the packet, and just ask that you mail us a copy next week after they've had a chance to look. But we already know there's gonna be a few changes, it sounds like.
Correct.
But we can make those changes subsequently.
Okay.
We just, yeah, as you said, it's kinda hard to kinda keep them all done all the time.
Separate the copy and sign.
Yeah, we'll just, call it this one here, it can be any of these.
Okay, all right,
And,
they're all like
Okay. That's right there.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate your time.
Okay. For you.
Okay. Our next item is JDC, Juvenile Detention Center, wants an item removed from their inventory, a surveillance monitor. I don't see Ace or anyone here to discuss it. So pending removal from the asset list. And I guess it's a, Dan, do you know anything about this?
I have no idea about it.
Table, we'll table this, okay.
Let's second
Okay, all in favor of tabling this item? Aye. Aye, thank you. This is the one I was talking about on the GPS. Ms. Donzie was here earlier, and I got her with Nano. Turns out that the issue is GPS is directing people on their road, which they believe is a private road, which we believe is a private road. So that was what I was talking about on the GPS issue. So she has basically removed herself from the agenda today. Upgrade on the Outbreak Project.
Yes, Commissioners, I've received several phone calls questioning, so we're purchasing additional acreage. And no, we're not purchasing additional acreage, but we are accepting 108 additional acreage along with other caveats along with this. I'm not gonna, we've already talked about this, but last Tuesday's meeting, at the Deloach City Hall, we had U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the MDNR. Mr. Copeland was there along, Kevin, you and your wife were there. We sat through a short presentation, but not only are if this goes through, which I've been told it will, but they're spending $300,000 for land purchase, closing costs, phase 1 assessment, etc. for the 108 additional acreage. But then they're putting towards conservation easement, stewardship contribution, operating endowment, project setup, and that's going to equate to $40,000. Field work and reporting costs for 10 years, $45,000. Mechanical invasive species removal and control, $175,000. Mowing and prescribed burns, replanting, $150,000. So $300,000 for the land purchase, another $410,000 that we'll have to put back. We will have to create another line item per Amber Mongelet and Mr. Cyberlick, the auditor. So this is kind of a big deal. And then the other topic, they're putting $300,000 towards the borehole closure project and restoration program. Those they'll be catering to flowing boreholes. So we're looking at $1 million coming to this area. So Glenn Jarvis and Wilma Caroline, they were representing the Soil and Water Conservation District. They were also there at last Tuesday's meeting. So I just wanted to clarify that $300,000 for the land, $410,000 for other little added caveats, and then $300,000 for the borehole closure. This is the draft restoration plan on the project. A copy of the draft is already out there on the internet, and I've got that here if anybody would like to take a look at it.
This is all money from the Sarco Settlement Fund?
Yes, sir.
And it's really the first that they've spent for us?
This is the first for St. Francis County that will be expanding the park from 37 to 146 acres.
Far be it from me to defend you. But I got a couple calls too. Well, why do you, people, I think the confusion is, there was an EPA settlement that is for remediation. But in addition to that, there was what's commonly referred to as the Zarco Settlement Fund. There was additional amount that was set aside, and I'm probably one of the few people in this county that's read the thing. It says what that money can be used for. And what it can be used for is this exact purpose: to restore areas that were damaged, to create waterfowl territory, to create forestry, to create wildlife preservation, to create stream preservation. Now, the former governor took it to extreme. He took not only the spirit of the law, but the letter of the law, unfortunately, and did this, but he did it hundreds of miles away from the people that are damaged.
Where they didn't want it.
Where they didn't want it to begin with. We are taking money from that settlement that is specifically designed for this purpose, and it just so happens to be it's in the heart of the county. And so it's not taking away from funds that is being used to abate lead. That is completely different settlement. This funds has to be used for this type of acquiring land to make up for land that was damaged by the lead industry over the years. This is a perfect use for that. And being adjacent to the Lowe's site, it even makes it makes more sense. I'm not for just taking anything because somebody's giving it to you, because a lot of times there's catches. This money has to be used for these purposes, so why not have the county be the benefactor of that? And the citizens, because once we get it developed, the people will get to use this.
And the county you're referring to is Oregon County. It's right next to the Arkansas border. Patrick Ledger was the presiding commissioner down in Oregon County. And not only did their commission refuse to accept those properties, but the majority of the people, well, it still went through. This commission also sent a letter in opposing that, but it happened anyway. So this is a good thing. I just want to kind of clear some of that up. Thank you.
And when that land was sold, the money did not go back to the settlement funds. It went to another fund entirely. It went to a good fund, but it wasn't where it's supposed to be. It was manipulated.
Misdirected.
Okay.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Far be it from me to support Mr. Engler on that.
Oh, go ahead this one time.
But I too have read that the ASARCO ruling, this mitigation money that is being directed to the county has come up under social media with a lot of falsehoods. And it's because of the social media, once again, that is spinning it. And let it be clear that we have spent a minimal amount of money on this project in comparison to what we are going to receive back.
For instance, we even got the title insurance on 108 acres covered in the settlement funds. Typically, that's something the buyer has to buy separately. But we got it called a settlement cost, and we got it covered under that.
We've received calls at the auditor's office, and if any other county, and I'm assuming other office holders are probably getting some feedback or questions as well concerning it, I direct them to Commissioner Mullins to get the straight poop on it.
Okay.
Did he say poop?
Well,
As
and
opposed
he called
to-
Kate back a while ago. We gotta watch our language around here. Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Next meeting, right here, next week. See you then. Other business, anybody have correspondence? Public comments? Departmental reports. I think there's an election going on.
We started absentee voting on the April election today. I wish to say that, I'd like to say that all the cities cooperated and got all their stuff in on time. That didn't happen. So we've had the overnight ballots down here, so we should start the voting today, and all the signing up for the August election. Filing for August election started this morning at 8, and as of 9 something, I think there were 6 people that have filed for various offices in the county. The state files in Jeff City. The municipalities have already filed. This is strictly for county wide offices, and we've got a couple other strange situations we take the not countywide.
Okay. Any questions on that? And where would you go to file for office or do anything with the election?
Election Center on Weber Road.
Okay,
So
everything election is out there.
everything. We have even the, and people ask this, well, can you check this? We don't have the computers hooked up to the state here because it's a security problem. You have multiple locations of the computers, only the computers, and it's a satellite operation that is authorized in the state of Missouri.
I made a trip out there this morning and filed, but my whole point is that's the first time I was in that office, the Election Central. And as compared to when it was here and then stacked in the floor, and the things that need to really be secured, there was no place to do that. There is there, and I'm quite impressed with that whole operation.
The head of elections have visited the site, and so has the Secretary of State has visited the site, and both of them say it's one of the best facilities as far as elections and ease for the voter to get in and out of, the absentee ballot. We have disabled facilities there. We have disabled parking. It's easy to get, so it's we're proud of the way it's turned out, and we were having some people vote today from different parts of the county. It's easy to get to, easy to get in and out of. So
And you got the rooms for the election night reports and all that?
we do. We have a separate room to be doing. If those who were here a few years ago, we had so many. At the last presidential election, there were so many votes. The people that were, we have a team that counts the absentee ballots and everything. It took so long that everybody that was running had to sit down on the floor in the election. So we've got a separate room that used to be the boardroom of the hospital. We moved the boardroom. That is what we're going to use for all those committees that have to meet to verify things and count the absentee ballots and to do that type of work. And that's separate from the public area that will show the election results.
Well, to give him credit, Brian Broderick came up with the idea of moving that out there.
And we hate to do that, but I think we should.
That's, I want to publicly acknowledge his thinking on that. Anything else? Adjourn.
And I'd second.
Well, it was a race for that one. All in favor, aye. Aye. Thank you.